I'll bet you didn't know there's a moment that quietly decides most of your relationships. It happens very early. You meet someone, and almost immediately, there's a sense of familiarity. Not excitement, not chemistry exactly, just a quiet feeling that says, I know this person. Most people trust that feeling, and that's where things start to go wrong, because familiarity is not the same thing as compatibility. We like to believe we choose relationships consciously, that we evaluate, compare, decide. But what actually happens is much quieter. Your nervous system recognizes patterns long before your mind catches up. And here's the part most people don't realize. That recognition is based on how closeness and distance were wired early, not on who the person actually is. That's why you can feel deeply connected to someone very quickly, even when nothing substantial has happened yet. Over time, I started noticing something consistent. The same relationship dynamics repeat, not just with different people, but across completely different lives. And yet, the emotional roles stay the same. That's what led me to work with archetypes, not as labels, not as personality types, but as relational patterns. Archetypes describe how people bond, how they respond to closeness, how they handle distance, how they pursue, how they withdraw, how they stabilize or destabilize relationships. They're not about who you are, they're about how you connect. This has nothing to do with astrology, nothing to do with numerology, nothing to do with fate. It's pattern recognition. And once you see the pattern, the repetition suddenly makes sense. Most people don't repeat the same relationship because they're broken. They repeat it because certain archetypes fit together easily, even when the relationship itself is unbalanced. That's why the beginning can feel electric, even when the ending always feels familiar. Some archetypes create intensity. Some create pursuit and distance. Some create stability that initially feels unfamiliar. And many people confuse intensity with depth. Real compatibility isn't about attraction. It's about how two nervous systems regulate together over time, how conflict resolves, how closeness is handled, how power moves between two people, how safe it feels to be honest. Archetypes help explain why some relationships feel inevitable and why others feel calm but strangely uncomfortable, even when they're healthier. That's why I created a compatibility assessment based on archetypes. It's a way to see your pattern on paper without guesswork, not to tell people who they should be with, but to help them see the pattern they've been repeating. Because once you understand your archetype, it becomes very hard to keep telling yourself the same story about why things didn't work. You start seeing structure where there used to be confusion. This isn't about changing who you are. It's about understanding what you naturally respond to and what actually supports you long term. Awareness doesn't force different choices. It simply makes certain choices harder to justify. When compatibility is understood, relationships stop feeling like a mystery. They become something you can recognize before you're already emotionally invested, and that alone can change everything.